So he's probably gonna face a little bit of starvation. Things aren't gonna go his way when he's trying to grow his food. That sucks. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. So a fugitive, like he's marked, right? Whether people believe that he was actually marked in some way, some people think he was marked with dark skin, some people he was marked with a scar, some people think he was marked with something. There's a bunch of little stories about that, but just having that name, just being known as the one who murdered your brother, like that's how do you live that down? That's just going to be your title, you know. Moving forward, everyone's just going to know that about you. Like, hey, we can't trust you around our family, or we can't hang out with you, or we don't know if you're going to turn around and kill one of us. I'm saying. So he's cursed, a vagabond. I'm not really familiar with that word, vagabond. Um, Similar to fugitive, I guess, but I've heard the word. It's just I never really took the time to really break it down. And Cade said unto the Lord, my punishment is greater than I can bear. Yeah, for sure. It's a pretty big punishment, man. You're going to be living a hard life. You're going to be starving in some moments because your food ain't growing and no one's going to want you around. So you're going to be kind of a loner, a vagabond. I think of that. That word makes me think of being a loner, being all being all alone, nobody, a drifter. Um, Behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid. And I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth, and it shall come to pass that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. So he's now like saying, not only is all this stuff, do I have all this stuff going against me because of what I did, but he's like, I'm going to end up getting killed down the road here. And the Lord said unto him, therefore, whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. So that's another. Here's an actual thing where the Lord's saying He set a mark. As to what that mark is, there's some. There's that's the debate, right? What is that mark, and how can anybody when they recognize that mark, they just know, hey, this Lord pronounced a curse of sevenfold on someone else that kills Cain. Now, one of the best explanations for this I've heard in my adult years came from Jordan Peterson. I happened to be listening to him talk about this particular story here. I was like, wow, you don't hear too many professors go like he's hailed as one of the brightest minds of our time in terms of his intellectual prowess. But to touch upon the Bible, I was curious, like, whoa. And so I was listening to his dissertation on this, and it's something I never thought about. He explained, like, why would that be? Because I never, as a kid, or even sometimes I just kind of haphazardly look at this and go, wow, Lord wants to protect him now and curse someone else even worse than him. Like, why would they be more cursed? I mean, wouldn't it be right for them to take him out because he took out his brother? And that also might lead into a whole other debate of capital punishment. Like, wouldn't the Lord punish him by death? And he didn't. And so who are we to punish our murderers with death? Shouldn't we put a mark on them in society, and just like Cain, and whoever like kills this guy is going to have a worse sentence? If we're trying to follow, is this a pattern that's being established? That does this mean we all need to follow this pattern, or what does this mean? Jordan breaks that down pretty. I like the way he broke that down to the fact that anyone who would kill Cain would be like a form of vengeance, which makes, like, whoever it may be, I don't know if someone was, close to Abel. I don't know how many children Adam and Eve have. Right here, we're only seeing two, but there can be the assumption that they had more. And there could be other brothers, sisters. There could be somebody that's like, ooh, you killed Abel. And they just mark it in their hearts like, get you, bro. Get you, man. And then they know that they're not a killer. So then they maybe one of their kids comes out, looks like he's a mad dog. He's out there like who knows, they're hunting and stuff, and that little kid's like really good at it. And it's like, oh, this kid looks like a killer. So then the parents like, all right, this is my chance to get my vengeance. I'm gonna teach this kid all this stuff about Cain, his uncle, and tell him like, hey, when the time comes, you'll see he's marked. God marked him. Take him out, dude. Take him out. Let's get him. Who knows? I'm just thinking. I'm spitballing here, but if that happens, that parent would have to like lie to the kid because the kid might be like, well, what's, why do that? Who knows? The parent might think, hey, the kid could get away with it because the kid doesn't really know. He's like the perfect weapon. He'll just be like, he just needs to be full of hate towards what Cain did, and just take him out. But kind of what Jordan was getting into is the reason why the Lord would punish for this is like the first murder. Like you have to go back. This is the first time this happened. And if someone was to commit vengeance, like God's trying to grow, apparently he wants them to replenish the earth, right? So in order for them, this was the serpent's first strike against the whole family unit is to, if these guys could just kill each other off from the get-go, there is no family unit. So serpent could have his heyday, oh, hey, God, your rinky-dink plan don't work. Because Satan's going to be an enemy. He's the opposition. He's going to try and keep this from going on. So the curse is to give people the conscious understanding that this could lead into a continual battle. Like, because at this point, probably Cain has children too. And Cain could be, like you say, well, who would marry him? And who knows if he already had a family by now and had kids. But if he had kids that he raised, they turn around and go murder that person who murdered their dad, and then that person's they're gonna just keep doing that back and forth till it's like civil war, and there goes the whole family unit gone. Nobody's around. So God had to like put out a mandate to let them know, like, hey, let's not start off like this. We're gonna put some stiffer penalties so that you guys are aware. We don't want this to like stretch out and turn into like, And then according to like when I was reading Jordan, he stretches that out and he explains his reasoning by saying that as it goes forward in time, and eventually people do start killing each other and vengeance for vengeance sake, and it becomes like a really wicked world where a lot of people are getting killed, and it gets to a point where people are just robbing each other, stealing from each other, and it's like a really bad place to be. And that's what leads to the flood. The Lord just solves that equation and saves, kind of starts over. He's like rebooting the system, like with Noah and his family, just saying, hey, the people didn't pay attention to that curse, and now the curse is unfolded. It's sevenfold, which means 7 times Cain. So it's like boom, 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 everybody's like killing each other. So if that kept going, it would just lead to 0. So like some folk, it looks like only the few who were willing to get on the ark who still believed in God. That was the sign. Like how many would follow God? Well, apparently there was 8 souls. So jumping way ahead into the flood here, but that's kind of when I was listening to him talk about that. I was pretty intrigued by that. So it's bringing back all that memory as I read this. Sorry guys, let's go. Oof. So yeah, here it is. Cain does have children. So it says here, and the Lord said to Mark, okay, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord and dwelt in the land of Nod on the east of Eden. So remember, Eden was already was eastward, right? Where God established Eden, or the garden. Well, east of further east, apparently is this land of Nod. Okay, and Cain knew his wife, and she conceived and bare Enoch, and he builded a city and called the name of the city after the name of his son Enoch. Wow, so Cain builds a whole city. So he's still moving on, even though he made one of the biggest mistakes of his life. He's still able to contribute in some way, I guess, building a city, having children, bearing seed. And unto Enoch was born Ered, and Ered begat Mehujael, Okay. And Mehujael begat Methusael, and Methusael begat. Here we go. Here we go with the begetting. So we're going to go, how many generations now? Enoch was the first, and then the second generation would be Irad, and Irad goes into the third, Mehujael, and Mehujael fourth goes into Methusael, Methusael goes into Lamech fifth. So we go down 5 generations from Cain, and we're down to Lamech. And Lamech took unto him 2 wives. The name of one was Ada, and the name of the other Zillah. So here's the first time you hear of 2 wives. So far, we've starting from the beginning, we had Adam and Eve. Now we have Lamech, who has 2 wives, here in verse 19 of chapter 4, Ada and Zillah. So apparently there's something there that's considered um, customary, and who knows how many people had different, like how many of the sons of Adam, we shall call them, how many of them actually had multiple wives. Like this is where we see what we call polygamy, right?